1. The Bermudas. Isn't that a strange looking name? Hundreds of years later, a sailor from Spain sailed across the huge Atlantic Ocean. The year was about 1515. That is nearly 500 years ago. His name was Juan de Bermudez. He saw the beautiful islands. He was probably the first man to find them. There were strong winds, and the sailor could find no place to land. So he sailed home to Spain. Places are often named after the people who discovered them, and the islands were called the Bermudas. This word is almost the same as the sailor's last name, Bermudez. After that, many sailors saw the Bermudas, but they could never find a good place to land their boats. There were often bad storms, and the rocks were very dangerous. Many ships were wrecked on the rocks. The sailors were frightened. They gave the islands a new name, the Isles of Devils. Henry May. Many poor sailors must have drowned when their ships crashed onto the rocks. Some swam to the shore. One man carved his initials FT on a rock. He also carved 1543, which was the year his ship was wrecked. He probably died on the island. How long ago is 1543? In those days, F's and T's looked almost the same, didn't they? Then in 1593, 26 sailors rowed to the shore in small boats. Their ship was lost on the reefs, but they were safe. All of these sailors came from France, except one. One sailor came from England. His name was Henry May. These men found many wild pigs which they caught for food. They were lucky to find meat. How do you think the wild pigs got there? They also ate fish and birds. Henry May and his friends were clever. They cut down some cedar trees and built a new ship. Then they sailed on to Canada. Later, Henry May went home to England and told many people about his adventure in Bermuda. The Sea Venture. In June 1609, a small sailing ship left England. It was called the Sea Venture. On the ship were many people who were going to live in Virginia, which is one of the states of America. The man in charge of the ship was called Admiral Sir George Somers. A big liner may take a week to sail from England to America. 300 years ago, a little sailing ship might have taken as long as 3 months. When the Sea Venture had been at sea for almost 2 months, there was a terrible storm. For 3 days, the people thought they would all die. Then the fierce wind stopped blowing and the sea became calm. The poor people found that their ship had come to rest on some rocks near Bermuda. The Sea Venture could sail no further. The sailors pushed small boats into the water and everyone reached land safely. They must have been so tired after the long storm. They probably fell asleep on the sand. Sir George Somers and his sailors saved many tools, guns, gunpowder, and other useful things. Then the poor Sea Venture sank to the bottom of the sea. The passengers were miserable and angry. They wanted to get to Virginia. Sir George Somers knew that it would take many months to build a new boat. The boat had to be big enough to hold about 200 people. So the men built little huts to live in. They used the leaves of the palmetto trees for the roofs. They ate palmetto berries, cedar berries, prickly pears, wild pigs, birds, eggs, and fish. There was a bird called the cahao which was very tame. The people caught and ate so many cahaos that soon there were none left at all. For more than 300 years no cahaos were seen in Bermuda. A few years ago, they were seen building their nests again. Everyone is pleased that the cows have come back to the island. This time, no one is going to eat them. Then the men dug wells to find fresh water. The carpenters and the sailors began to cut down cedar trees to build a new ship. The children would help to make the fire and they would search for food too. It was very warm and sunny. The islands were beautiful. Perhaps the passengers were not angry for long. Shipbuilding. The people on the island were busy. They were building a new ship. They found the cedar wood very good for this. Then Sir George Somers said that one ship would not be big enough, so two ships were made. They were called the Deliverance and the Patience. At last, the people could go on with their journey to Virginia. They took as much food as the ships could hold. There were no storms and they reached Virginia safely. They arrived at a place called Jamestown. They thought it would be a beautiful, peaceful town. The Indians hated the people in Jamestown. They had stolen their food and their weapons. So when the Deliverance and the Patience arrived, the passengers from Bermuda found a miserable, starving crowd waiting for them. There was not enough food for everybody on the two ships. Some more would have to be found.